Hi everyone, my name is Pang Han and today I will be presenting my Uni 1 assignment seminar presentation via YouTube. The story that I will be presenting about today is The Emperor's New Clothes. In this classic tale, it raises questions about self-deception, conformity, and obedience to authority. In this story, there is an emperor that is fond of clothes. Two imposter weavers enter his city and tells him that they will create a suit for him that will be invisible to people who are stupid and unfit for their position. When the emperor assigns them to make an outfit for him, they pretend to weave the suit and then present the suit in front of everyone in the city. Everyone who looks upon the suit is troubled by what they cannot see and whether they are stupid or not. Everyone, for fear of being targeted, lies that saying that they can see the suit. However, a child then breaks everyone's own delusion by shouting out, "But the emperor is not wearing anything at all!" which opens up a chain of citizens shouting, leaving the emperor in shame for not noticing sooner. So let's talk about the author. This is a classic tale that was written by a Danish author, Hans Christian Andersen, who wrote many famous children's fairy tales in the 1800s, such as The Little Mermaid, Thumbelina, and The Ugly Duckling, which I'm sure you've all heard of. Hans' stories typically brought across a deep moral lesson, universal themes such as poverty, charity, and inequality below the surface. His works would sometimes be inspired by his own life experiences and senses of not belonging. When a character in the story went to check on the progress of the invisible suit, they were at the same time also met with a complex moral dilemma. Should they tell the truth of not being able to see the suit and accept their own stupidity, or lie to save themselves of social ridicule? This dilemma combines multiple philosophically interesting issues. Which brings me to the next point, self deception. Self deception is the denial or rationalization of the relevance, significance, or importance of opposing evidence and logical reasoning, which is very clearly demonstrated in this story. The rationalizing away is seen when a character convinces themselves that they can see the suit, while the opposing evidence is in the fact that they cannot actually see the outfit for themselves. This process of self deception is adopted by basically every single character in the story in order to avoid and shelter themselves of the inconvenience of the truth. The usage of self deceptions are then discussed further under the sections dealing with conformity and honesty. Finally, in the end, a young boy reveals that the logical argument that the characters were constantly and purposefully avoiding, which is honesty. Except for the small boy, every single character in the story decides to lie rather than admit that they are unable to see the outfit. It is up to each character's choice of whether or not to admit that they cannot see the suit, and every character in the story except for the young boy chooses to lie rather than to tell the truth. A prominent reason for this is the social fear and anxiety, for if one cannot see the suit, they are stupid and do not deserve a spot in society. Social status, conformity, judgment, trust, and individual morality always sway their decision. But is honesty important and does it decide if you are good? And what constitutes a lie? A lie is to state something false with the intentions that people will accept the statement as a truth. However, is this immoral? The trickster's weavers told the initial lie at the beginning of the story, announcing to everyone that they were making a magical suit when in fact they were actually weaving nothing at all. Not only that, they also lied that the outfit would be invisible to stupid people. The other characters in the story believe these lies as the truth, which causes themselves to support the weaver's lies as the truth in order to save themselves of ridicule and maintain their reputations. Were the characters who were tricked just as morally and ethically guilty for lying as they were the weavers? Were they bad guys too? It may be argued that the weavers lied purposefully for personal benefit, whilst the tricked characters lied out of own fear for their own security. Then is it okay to lie to benefit yourself? What about the in order to benefit the group or society at large? Lying for personal gain yourself may seem justifiable in certain situations, especially when fear or survival is involved. The characters who were tricked chose to believe the weaver's lie not to harm others, but to protect their own status and avoid shame. While their intentions were different from the weavers, they still contributed to the deception. This implies that even passive participation in a lie can carry ethical weight, blurring the line between victim and accomplice. Conformity is the act of aligning to attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors to what individuals considers to be normal in their society or in their social group. This story does a overall good job of demonstrating the power of societal pressures in influencing conformity. When each character confronts their inability to see the suit or the outfit, they begin to fear for their reputation. Every character, even the emperor, changes their perception to match the dominant groups in order to fit in. The dominant group is everyone who holds the false perception of being able to see the suit. Basically, the characters change their perspectives to match that of the groups, which illustrates conformity. The desire to conform is also very prevalent in the real world. In general, there are two types of social influence that can cause people to conform: informational influence and normative influence, both of which you can see in this story. Informational societal influence occurs when one turns to the members of one's group to obtain accurate information. Some characters in the story conform simply because they believe the ability to determine what is true even over their own perspective. Characters such as the emperor's ministers felt this influence because all of them had the thought, if my colleagues see this suit, surely it must exist. Normative influence occurs when one conforms to be liked or accepted by a group. This usually results in public compliance, which makes them do or say something without actually believing in it. Practically, every character in this story felt this pressure as they did not want to cause trouble. So instead, they chose to accept the suit's public perception even when they did believe differently, so that they would not appear as abnormal. This influence was also further driven in the story because not seeing the suit supposedly meant that you were inadequate. And this is the citations for my presentation. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.